Mark Goddard played Major Don West from 1965 to 1968. Mark was 29 when Lost in Space started, appearing in all 83 episodes as the military pilot and Judy Robinson's romantic interest. Sadly, Mark passed away October 10, 2023 at 87. Born Charles Harvey Goddard, Mark played the square-jawed pilot who is often the voice of reason aboard Jupiter 2. As the series progressed in seasons 2 and 3, when the show shifted from serious science fiction to campy comedy, Mark's character was increasingly sidelined for the Dr. Smith, Will Robinson, and robot dynamic. According to Bill Mumy, both Mark and Guy Williams openly disliked the shift away from serious science fiction and were frustrated by the show's increasingly silly direction. After Lost in Space ended in 1968, Mark appeared in various television shows throughout the 1970s and early 1980s, but his acting career gradually wound down. What many don't know, Mark left Hollywood entirely to become a special education teacher in Massachusetts, where he found real fulfillment working with students. He was married 3 times and wrote a memoir about his Lost in Space experience. Mark spent final years in Hingham, surrounded by family. Major Don West was the brave pilot, but Mark Goddard found his calling educating children on Earth. Bill Mumy played Will Robinson from 1965 to 1968, appearing in all 83 episodes as the precocious genius. Bill was just 11 when Lost in Space premiered, though his character was 9. In 2026, Bill is 72 and has built an extraordinary career beyond acting. Born Charles William Mumy Jr. on February 1, 1954, Bill was already working before Lost in Space. He'd appeared in 3 Twilight Zone episodes, including legendary It's a Good Life, where he played a terrifying child with godlike powers. As series progressed, Lost in Space became focused on the Will, Dr. Smith, and robot dynamic. Bill and Jonathan Harris became genuine best friends, a friendship lasting until Harris's 2002 death. However, Bill never saw Guy Williams again after the show ended. Williams retired to Argentina and they never reconnected. Unlike many child stars, Bill avoided typical pitfalls. He starred in Disney's Rascal in 1969, then Bless the Beasts and Children in 1971. Bill formed comedy rock duo Barnes & Barnes with cult hit Fish Heads. From 1994 to 1998, Bill played Lanier in all 5 Babylon 5 seasons. Bill married Eileen in the 1980s with 2 children, including actress daughter Liliana Mumy. Will Robinson was a child prodigy, but Bill Mumy became a Renaissance man who never forgot where he came from. Marta Kristen played Judy Robinson from 1965 to 1968. Marta was 20 when Lost in Space started, appearing in all 83 episodes as the eldest daughter and Major Don West's romantic interest. In 2026, Marta is 79 and has lived remarkably private since the show ended. Marta's real name is Birgit Annalisa Rusanen. She was born in Norway before being adopted by a Finnish family who brought her to the United States. She changed her name to Marta Kristen when entering show business. Before Lost in Space, Marta appeared in an Alfred Hitchcock Presents episode with Bill Mumy, creating a connection before becoming television siblings. As Lost in Space progressed in seasons 2 and 3, Marta's character was increasingly sidelined as the show shifted focus to Dr. Smith, Will Robinson, and robot storylines. Judy had less to do, often reduced to looking concerned or not appearing at all. This frustrated Marta, who hoped the role would lead to bigger opportunities. After Lost in Space ended in 1968, Marta continued acting, with occasional television appearances and film roles, but never found another signature role. She worked as a model and became an author. Marta has been married and divorced twice, keeping personal life private. Judy Robinson yearned for adventure, but Marta Kristen found contentment in quiet privacy. Angela Cartwright played Penny Robinson from 1965 to 1968. Angela was 12 when Lost in Space started, appearing in all 83 episodes as the sensitive, animal-loving middle daughter. In 2026, Angela is 72 and has built a successful career as photographer and artist. Born in England, Angela moved to Canada, then the United States. She was already famous before Lost in Space, having played Linda Williams on Make Room for Daddy from 1957 to 1964. Even more impressively, Angela appeared in The Sound of Music in 1965 as Brigitte von Trapp, starring in one of cinema's most beloved musicals while filming Lost in Space. On the show, Penny had a special connection with alien creature Bloop and served as the emotional heart of the Robinson family. She developed a close friendship with Bill Mumy, lasting over 50 years. The two child actors bonded during long filming days. After Lost in Space ended, Angela continued acting into her early 20s. She married Steve Gullis in 1976, together nearly 50 years with two children. Angela became a professional photographer and mixed media artist, creating unique photo art books. In 2015, Angela and Bill Mumy co-wrote Lost and Found in Space, filled with behind-the-scenes photographs. Penny Robinson was curious and creative, and Angela Cartwright turned those traits into thriving art. Bob May was the man inside the robot suit from 1965 to 1968. Bob was 31 when Lost in Space started, appearing in 82 episodes as the mechanical marvel that became beloved. Tragically, Bob passed away January 18, 2009 at 69 from congestive heart failure in Lancaster, California. Born in New York City, Bob came from show business family and worked as stuntman before landing the robot role. The robot costume cost $75,000 to build and weighed over 200 pounds. Bob provided all the robot's movements and physical performance, while Dick Tufeld provided the voice separately. This division meant Bob was often uncredited or overlooked, as fans assumed the voice actor was also the performer. The robot suit was extremely hot and uncomfortable under bright studio lights. In close-up shots, Bob wore only the top half of the costume, using his own legs below to provide movement, though this is almost impossible to notice on screen. The full suit was so cumbersome that Bob needed assistance getting in and out, and he could only stay in it for limited periods. After Lost in Space ended in 1968, Bob struggled with the fact that his contribution was largely forgotten or attributed to others. He appeared at conventions and spent years advocating for proper recognition. The robot was programmed to protect, but Bob May was the forgotten actor who brought metal to life. Dick Tufeld provided the robot's iconic voice from 1965 to 1968, including legendary catchphrase, "Danger, Will Robinson," that became embedded in popular culture.
Warning, warning, it will not compute. And danger, Will Robinson. And aliens approaching.
Dick was 40 when Lost in Space started, already a veteran voice actor with decades of experience. Sadly, Dick passed away January 22, 2012 at 85 from undisclosed causes. Born December 11, 1926 in Los Angeles, Dick grew up in radio's golden age and transitioned seamlessly into television. Before Lost in Space, Dick worked extensively in radio and television, establishing himself as one of the industry's most reliable voice talents. Dick created the robot's distinctive voice and speech patterns, giving the mechanical character warmth, humor, and personality. His delivery of warnings like "Danger, Will Robinson" became so iconic it's been referenced, parodied, and quoted for over 5 decades. But Dick didn't just voice the robot, he also served as Lost in Space's narrator, providing opening and closing narration for many episodes. Dick worked with producer Irwin Allen on multiple projects beyond Lost in Space. After the show ended, Dick continued prolific voice work, narrating documentaries and recording commercials. Dick reprised the robot voice for the 1998 Lost in Space film, providing a brief cameo that connected the movie to the original series. The robot's body came from Bob May, but Dick Tufeld gave it the voice that echoed through generations. Irwin Allen created and produced Lost in Space from 1965 to 1968. Irwin was 49 when Lost in Space premiered, and he controlled every aspect with an iron fist. Sadly, Irwin passed away November 2, 1991, at 75 from a heart attack in Santa Monica. Known as the Master of Disaster, Irwin had already created Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea before developing Lost in Space, loosely inspired by the Swiss Family Robinson. Here's where Irwin's story gets controversial. The show began as serious science fiction in Season 1, filmed in black and white with genuine suspense and drama. But when ABC scheduled Batman opposite Lost in Space in January 1966, CBS panicked about the competition. Starting in Season 2, Irwin made the controversial decision to shift from serious science fiction to campy comedy to compete with Batman's success. This frustrated cast members, particularly Guy Williams and Mark Goddard, who felt betrayed by the show's new direction. After Lost in Space ended, Irwin produced disaster films like The Poseidon Adventure and The Towering Inferno, which became massive commercial hits and defined a new genre of filmmaking. In the 1980s, when Bill Mumy wrote a reunion screenplay, Irwin refused to even read it, demanding total control. Irwin Allen created Worlds of Wonder, but his ego meant the Robinsons never got their reunion they deserved. Kurt Russell appeared in the Lost in Space episode The Challenge in 1966, playing a teenage boy in distress. Kurt was just 15 at the time, already a Disney contract player with growing television credits. In 2026, Kurt is 75 and has become one of Hollywood's most enduring leading men. When Kurt guest starred on Lost in Space, he was part of a parade of young actors who appeared as the show shifted toward youth-oriented storylines. His appearance was brief, just one episode, but part of his television apprenticeship that led to film stardom. Lost in Space featured guest appearances from numerous future stars, including Michael J. Pollard and Warren Oates. After Lost in Space, Kurt continued building his career with Disney films throughout his teenage years. His breakthrough came when he transitioned to adult roles in the 1970s and 1980s, working with director John Carpenter on Escape from New York and The Thing. Kurt's career exploded with Big Trouble in Little China, Tombstone, and Stargate. In 1983, Kurt began a relationship with Goldie Hawn lasting over 40 years. Remarkably, they never married. Recently, Kurt joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe, playing Ego in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. He continues to work steadily, choosing roles that interest him. Kurt Russell's Lost in Space guest spot was one step toward icon status. The Jupiter 2 became one of Lost in Space's most iconic characters from 1965 to 1968. The futuristic flying saucer spacecraft was designed by Fox Art Department and became instantly recognizable with its unique disc shape and upper and lower decks. In many ways, the ship was as important as any actor. The Jupiter 2 was created as a realistic vision of what a deep space exploration vessel might look like in the future. The exterior was a large saucer with landing legs, while interior sets were elaborate and expensive, featuring a two-level design with living quarters, control room, laboratory, and various other compartments. These interior sets were among the most detailed and costly on television at the time. In Season 2, the show introduced the Space Pod, a smaller auxiliary craft that could detach from the Jupiter 2 for planetary exploration. The show also featured the Chariot, an all-terrain vehicle used for ground transport when exploring planets. After Lost in Space ended in 1968, the original Jupiter 2 sets were destroyed and props were sold off, discarded, or lost. However, fans kept the Jupiter 2 alive. Dedicated enthusiasts built detailed replicas, some full scale. The Jupiter 2's design influenced countless science fiction productions. When Netflix rebooted Lost in Space in 2018, they completely redesigned it. The Jupiter 2 never reached Alpha Centauri, but reached something more lasting. Guy Williams played Professor John Robinson from 1965 to 1968. Guy was 41 years old when he commanded the Jupiter 2, appearing in all 83 episodes as the brilliant astrophysicist. Standing 6 foot 3 inches tall, Guy was already famous as Zorro before Lost in Space. Tragically, Guy passed away April 30th, 1989 at age 65 from a brain aneurysm. He was found dead in his Buenos Aires apartment on May 6, 1989, but autopsy revealed he died alone a week earlier. Born Armando Joseph Catalano to Sicilian immigrants in the Bronx, Guy struggled to find work after Lost in Space ended in 1968. He'd made smart investments and became wealthy enough to retire. In 1973, Guy visited Argentina, where his Zorro character was beloved. He fell in love with the country. By the late 1970s, Guy retired to Recoleta, an upscale Buenos Aires neighborhood, living in solitude. He'd been married to Janice Cooper since 1948 with 2 children. His ashes were scattered in the Pacific Ocean off Malibu. In 2000, Guy became the first Bronx Walk of Fame inductee, an honor he never saw. Professor John Robinson led the expedition, but Guy Williams died alone, thousands of miles from the family he portrayed. Jonathan Harris played the scheming Dr. Zachary Smith from 1965 to 1968. Jonathan was 51 when he joined, though his character wasn't in the original pilot. Dr. Smith and the robot were added after CBS picked up the series.
Of course I am. I look like celery. I draw moisture from the soil likes.
Born November 6, 1914, as Jonathan Charasuchin to poor Russian Jewish immigrants in the Bronx, his family was so impoverished his mother took in boarders, often giving them Jonathan's bed. At age 12, he worked as a pharmacy clerk. Jonathan legally changed his name from Charasuchin to Harris at 18. His Dr. Smith was originally written as a dark villain supposed to be killed off, but midway through season 1, Jonathan began rewriting dialogue to add comedy. The transformation worked brilliantly. Jonathan created the robot's insulting nicknames: Bubble-Headed Booby, Computerized Clod, none in scripts.
You stay away from me, you garrulous gargoyle. You bubble-headed booby. I'll attend to you later, you infamous informer. You tin-plated traitor! Just for that, I'll rip out all your wires!
He was listed as special guest star every episode, the first actor in television history receiving such billing. Sadly, Jonathan passed away November 3, 2002 at 87, just 3 days before his 88th birthday from a blood clot. He'd been married to Gertrude Bregman for 64 years and answered 500 fan letters monthly until death. Dr. Smith was cowardly, but Jonathan Harris was beloved until the end.
Because Guy Williams was hired to be the father figure and the star of the show. And suddenly what happened? Jonathan Harris is the star of the show. The whole world talks about Jonathan Harris.
June Lockhart played Dr. Maureen Robinson across all 83 episodes from 1965 to 1968. June was 40 when Lost in Space started, already a television icon from playing Lassie's mother from 1958 to 1964.
Okay, that's all right. Now, it's going to be all right, dear. It'll be all right. Mom. Oh, Timmy. Mama.
Born into a famous acting family, June appeared in all episodes as the biochemist mother keeping the Robinson family functioning.
Aren't you forgetting a small ingredient for happiness known as love?
Here's something fans loved. June drove a 1923 fire engine to the Fox lot and was given the biggest parking space. June was married to John F. Maloney from 1951 to 1959 with 2 daughters, Anne Lockhart, who became an actress appearing in Battlestar Galactica, and June Elizabeth Maloney. After Lost in Space ended, June continued working steadily in television throughout decades.
Actress June Lockhart has died at the age of 100. Lockhart died Thursday of natural causes at her Santa Monica home.
Our Don West, Crash West, because the only stock footage they had, that was they'd taken a Patrona or something, was this thing of
At nearly 100, June represents a direct link to earliest television days. Maureen Robinson kept the family together, but June Lockhart became Hollywood's most enduring icon.